Well, the Huskers that are going to be entering the NFL draft have participated in the combine. Not all of them. Tommy Hill, of course, being out with injury, was unable to participate. But for the most part, Fidone, Neyor, and Ty went and contributed. And it seems to be that they all raised their draft stock. We're going to dive into our thoughts and a little bit of their numbers and stuff like that, and maybe a projection where we think they might land in the draft. Also, what value they might bring. But to bring those points along with me, Brian Moore is here again, contributor to the Voice of College Football. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Ready to dive into some of this talk about the combine. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start here with none other than Thomas Fidone. Just a little bit of kind of about his performance, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of saw some of the details about it, just because his pure athleticism was something we always knew. It was just his injury history that really kind of held him back, as we all know. So, but a 4.7 40-yard dash, tied fourth for tight ends, 10 foot 6 inch broad jump, vertical of 35.5, which was third among tight ends. 3 cone of 7 seconds, 7.01, 20-yard shuttle that was second among tight ends, and tested out 78 of 1,216 tight ends since, what was that stat, like 1987 or something like that?
Yeah, since 1987.
9.37 out of 10 on the RAS score. So, what are your thoughts overall on Fidone's performance?
I'm not shocked. I even posted on X that I think Fidone and really all of the players in this Matt Rule era are going to be combine freaks. I thought Thomas would probably be in that like lower to mid 4.6 range, but a 4.7 40. Think about this too: 2 knee surgeries, and he's still a sub 4.7 guy, or right at the 4.7 mark. Phenomenal athlete. His vertical was great, 35.5 inches. His broad jump of 10.6 was phenomenal. The one thing when I did watch a little bit of it, it seemed like he was really comfortable not having to wear that knee brace anymore. I don't know if that really impacted him a ton this past season.
Good.
But the big thing with Thomas is he's a really, really crisp route runner, and he showed that at the combine, and really strong hands. I thought he probably upped his stock. I was thinking maybe like a 4th, 5th round grade. This might be a guy that goes maybe back into the 3rd round, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would say, average, I would say probably 3rd round would be, the roundabout, maybe 4th. But I think he could be in that mid to late 3rd as well. Just because, like you said, his pure athleticism as it is, he's a high motor guy. It's just the injuries, Yeah. But a lot of talent to be refined there. So just athletically, teams might actually take a shot on him and just see what he's got. So, that'll be interesting to see how his draft stock goes. And couldn't happen to a better person, though, when he does get drafted. So, all right. So moving on to Isaiah Neyor, of course, a controversial wide receiver in Husker Nation for, many of reasons, hands being probably the main reason, but graded out extremely well in terms of his overall athleticism, one of the top grades. In the combine, probably not surprising to most that he did grade out high in terms of his athleticism, but just how well he did was very, very impressive in terms of just the overall consensus and feeling about it. But I'm going to give you a little number here just about how impressive and good his performance was. You see Isaiah Neyor there, number 4 in terms of the overall athleticism scores for the 2025 combine at 95. So, pretty impressive stuff there from Neyor. Just full disclosure, he did not participate in a couple of the drills. I think it was the 20-yard shuttle, the 3 cone drill. There were a couple of other. No, there was another one too. So there was like bench 3 press. Of them. Yeah, there was about. Oh, he didn't do bench press either, and then some agility drills or something like that. So there's a couple of other stats they had of the 300 wide receivers drafted the last decade. Only 4 were listed as 218 and hit at least a 4.4, because he did have a 4.4 at the combine. DK Metcalf, Xavier Legette, Robert Davis, Chase Claypool. Just a couple things about him. Raw athleticism, of course, which might get teams to take a shot on him, but just not very good, refined as a route runner. Really didn't wasn't able to provide separation this year, which is kind of crazy considering these numbers right here. You would think that he would have a better time, easier time doing that. So what's your thoughts on Neyor?
I'm not shocked by the numbers. It's shocking that it doesn't translate to the field in his case, at least on a consistent level. It did at Wyoming, but at Nebraska, it didn't. For a guy that's 6'4", he's pushing 220 pounds, and he runs a 4.43. And like you said, there's 4 guys in the last decade drafted that are that big and that fast. That's why I think he may be a guy that sneaks into the later end of the 7th round, just because look at these numbers. I mean, he's a freak athlete. I mean, vertical was 38 inches, 11.1 on the broad jump. His 10-yard split was a 1.56, which isn't great, but it's still good, especially considering his size. Isaiah just needs to put it on the field. And at the end of the day, these numbers are great, but the tape is the tape. Unfortunately for him, there's a lot of drops. And even everyone remembers that Iowa drop, right? He's running across the field. It goes right through his hands. Well, ironically, what's that drill called where they run a straight line across the field? Like gauntlet drill?
Oh, the gauntlet, yeah.
Yeah, he had like 2 or 3 drops in the gauntlet drill, but every other like position specific thing they did, different routes, man, he was looking good. He was sinking his hips on the comeback routes. His hands were really strong. I just don't know how you get it to translate to the field. And I think an NFL team is going to go in and say, we can fix this.
Yep.
I just think they do.
Yeah. Because if you do sneak in, him at the later round, 7th round, something like that, and take a flyer on him, he is one of those guys that's going to come in as like a raw prospect. So at that point, Matt Rule talks about it a lot but this is at the college level, where there's a ceiling to athleticism, no ceiling to skill. So they could bring that athleticism in there and then try to work on refining his skill set. Why it hasn't happened so far, I don't know, but teams will take a chance just purely on this alone. So yeah, Isaiah Neyor did do himself a lot of favors again. Probably not with Husker Nation because we can't get some of those moments back, but let's go ahead and move on to a guy who is loved in Husker Nation, Mr. Ty Robinson. Ty Robinson, another player here that raised his draft stock. 9.87 out of 10 for his RAS, which was 30th out of 1,834 since whatever that 87, 86, whatever it was. 6.5 inches tall, 6'5" tall, 288. So they were talking about he was 296 at the Senior Bowl, slimmed up since. But had the fastest 40-yard dash for all D tackles. I got another little stat here for y'all about that. And you see Ty Robinson right there in terms of miles per hour, top speed at 20.64 miles per hour. Top D tackles. That is an impressive human that should not be able to move that fast at 288 pounds. Do you agree?
Yeah, that's insane. And I think Isaiah Neyor's top speed was 21.6 or so. So you're talking 1 mile an hour difference between a guy that's 6'5", 290, and a guy that's 6'4", 220.
So if Ty gets some hands, he might be able to get drafted as a 7th round receiver.
Yeah, you may even throw him at tight end.
That's what you're telling me.
Jeez. I saw some people saying like he's too small to be like a defensive tackle at 288 pounds. And my argument is he's not going to be like a true defensive tackle. He's going to be a guy that they stick outside on the edge. That's what Nebraska did all the time. And he was incredibly successful. He had 7 sacks. And if you have that graphic still, as a defensive lineman, I really don't care what they run in a 40. Granted, that's an insane 40 for a guy that size. I look at like that 10-yard split. That's that get off the ball speed. And that's a 1.7 10-yard split, which is absolutely phenomenal. And then I look at broad jump, which is explosiveness in a short, like almost like think flying off the edge or exploding out of your break or out of your stance. 9 feet 11. Call it 10 foot. It's absolutely insane. My cat's got the zoomies over there going crazy. 9 foot 11 is absolutely insane.
He's trying to do the shuttle.
Yeah. Even his vertical too, though, 33.5 inches. I mean, explosive athlete, a 4.5 shuttle. I think he's going up in the draft too.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, yeah. Ty Robinson has done himself a lot of favors over on the draft, but like you said, they really big edge setter there. On the run, especially, he's a guy who's just going to give you a lot of effort, high motor guy. So a lot of teams are going to like what he brings to the table, just in terms of his overall play on the field, his motor, and just the effort he brings too. So these numbers do him a lot of good in terms of how he looks in that regard, because you get a motor with a lot of athleticism. You do some little tweaks, and you can have yourself a heck of a pass rusher there as a complimentary pass rusher or something like that. So Ty Robinson never been much of a pass rusher, but at least you can have a pretty solid rotational piece or starter in your defensive line. So
the one concern that I've heard is his age. At 24 years old, a 6-year senior, I don't understand that thought process at all. I'm curious if you think that's a concern at all, because the way I look at it is he's got 6 years of college football. He's got called 2.5 years of proven solid production. He's never been hurt. Yep. What is the concern with a 24-year-old defensive lineman?
I wouldn't be too concerned about it, especially with the team drafting him, because he's not a centerpiece. Like, he's not going to be like your first round draft pick that's supposed to be the guy to build around on the edge, Aiden Hutchinson type of guy, So I would understand then, but a lot of these guys who, they draft in the 3rd, 4th round, wherever he ends up going, even second, sometimes their contracts, like, it's not one of those things where you're always thinking long term unless they're that centerpiece. I think that factors in a little bit, but I think more so they're looking at what he can potentially offer as a guy who, you're not paying a ridiculous amount to. So I don't think it's too much of a concern. I do think they factored in, but just not a lot.
Yeah, if he was like a top 10 pick, 100% again. But
yeah,
got that 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. I just don't understand. You're going to get 2 contracts out of him, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly what you want.
Yeah, depends on, absolutely. Yeah. So just need some refinement, in certain areas. But again, we'll get that at the next level. But did himself a lot of favors overall in terms of the combine. So just a great showing overall from all the guys. Corey Campbell, we talked about a lot, has his job security locked in. That is for sure.
What a great hire he's turned out to be.
He's probably got a raise coming pretty soon.
Yeah,
I would imagine. So. Anything else on these guys before we move forward?
No, I think we're good. I'm just excited that Nebraska's finally not only putting some dudes in the combine, but the guys that went there absolutely crushed it. That's huge for Nebraska, especially when we're talking recruiting.
Without a doubt. Absolutely. Yeah. 100% just shows kind of that developmental aspect. And if we can get some of these guys starting to get drafted, that says a lot with these kids. 100%. That says a lot. When you start putting people in the NFL, people start to look at the school differently. And Matt Rule's one of the coaches. He's got NFL experience. A lot of our staff does. They already look like a staff that can get people to the NFL. If they start doing that early and often, then that is a really good look for the future of this team. And so another good look for the future of this show. Talking about our Tuesday live show. So if y'all have been there, really appreciate everybody who stopped by. Over the last couple of weeks, we've had Bill Bush, Tanner Church, Caden Vermas, and Tyson Terry. Tanner told us how to pronounce his name, so it's Church. Okay, I got it right that time. Let's see if I can continue to get it right. And then confirmed coming up, we just have to, iron out times and dates, stuff like that. Grant Wistrom, Juju Marks, Christian Jones, Dane Key, Marquise Watson, Trent, and Keith Williams, former wide receiver coach at Nebraska. So y'all stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel for more. Drop a like. Let us know that you like this type of content, and leave your thoughts down below. Brian, anything before we wrap up and conclude the show?
No, we're just getting started. It's going to be an exciting time over here at the Voice of College Football.
Absolutely. So y'all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.